Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Hey, docs, welcome to another episode of Modern Chiropractic Mastery. Today, I'm bringing you a solo episode, and we're going to discuss the realities of chiropractic revenue. I always find it interesting. Sometimes it's posted in Facebook groups, sometimes ours, about certain revenues and numbers. And there's a lot of misconceptions around it. There's a lot of misunderstandings of it. Sometimes if you hear a big number thrown out, some people think they must be doing something unethical to get there. I've talked to enough chiropractors that of all stripes, and there's a lot of chiropractors doing really well, and they're doing it the right way. And really well is a very it's a relative term, right? I could have a practice that's doing 100,000 a month in revenue and having cash flow issues. I could have a practice that's doing 15,000 a month and has cash flow confidence. Maybe they're living a simpler life. Maybe they don't have kids or family yet. They're younger, lower overhead. Maybe they're in, Wyoming instead of California. There's a lot of variables to it. So there's no one size fits all. And I do love the kind of the quote from Westgate that is, volume is vanity, uh, profit is sanity, and cash is reality. So we're not here to have this like volume discussion, right? Where it's like, oh, how many patients you see in a month? But yeah, there is obviously a correlation. If you see 200 people in a week, you're going to probably have more revenue than someone that's seeing 50 in a week. But there could be overhead as well. But I think there's a lot of misconceptions on what is good revenue for a business, right? Like, if you really think about it, what would it take in a given year of revenue to pay yourself a professional wage? Let's call it $100,000 a year. But a lot of you are going to want more than that, right? If depending on again where you live, if your spouse works or not, things of that nature. But it's expensive now. If you end up being 35, 40, 45 years old, it's like you may want to make 200,000 a year. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You're like a doctor. And you think about that. Like if you wanted to make 200,000 a year, which is well within your right and you should want that, and that's a professional wage. It doesn't have to be that much, but that like it's okay to want that. But like what would it take for you to make 200,000 a year in your clinic's revenue? Because typically to make $200,000 a year, you're going to need, a team. You're going to need some a nice office space. You're going to have to generate revenue to get there. And $200,000, even if you were really on the lucky side of it, and you got to keep 50% of what you made, which doesn't always happen. A lot of people throw that around, and there's always that uh, game of like, oh well, I got 60%, or 40% is my overhead, and it's super low overhead. But the problem with super low overhead sometimes is it does limit your ability to actually generate absolute dollars. And so a chiropractor owner of a big practice might only bring home 30%, but 30% of $1 million in a year is $300,000. That's really good. 60% of $200,000 is not as good as 30% of a million, right? It's that saying is like, I'd rather have 10% of a watermelon than 50% of a grape. That sometimes we see is like, the, the doctor has a high percentage of what they take home. They're taking home 50%, but they've designed it as such as that they don't have enough revenue for their actual take home number to be a healthy number. Let's take a break from today's episode and announce our first sponsor. This is going to be Propel Marketing and Design. I've known Darcy Sullivan for years. We've worked hand in hand on my websites. I don't trust anybody else to do this search engine optimization. She does a great job. There's so much to it. A lot of the lingo and the words are beyond my comprehension, but it's just amazing work that she does. And if you're really going to get results with Google, you have to make sure your website is SEO optimized. And I really don't want you doing it yourself as a chiropractor. So you just have to have this type of stuff done. And if you're looking to get more organic online traffic that pulls in new patients, Propel Marketing and Design is currently offering chiropractors who listen to this podcast a free SEO website review. The free review will help you uncover methods that will improve your website and boost your search engine visibility. Head over to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor and schedule your free SEO website review. You won't regret it. She gets great results. Your website needs this. Your search results need this. Head on over there to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor to get your free SEO website review. And so it gets tricky when you try to tease that out, but you ultimately want to be able to pay yourself a professional living. So let's go back to my example. If you wanted to pay yourself $200,000 and you're on the great side of things and you're actually able to take 50% home, that's $400,000 a month that you would want to have as collections. And if I do the math on that, right, that's going to be about $33,000 a month in revenue to get to that $400,000, and that's allowing you to do it. Now, a lot of you are in higher overhead, right? So if I had to guess, a lot of you, if you could even do things like if you look at the profit first model, and I'm gonna the 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 substance of this podcast today is gonna be me reading a blog I wrote about why it's so important to get to at least 30,000 a month in practice for most people, and I'll have some caveats to that. But I even share on here the profit first model, and if you look at the profit first model, which a lot of chiropractors, are utilizing because it's a really nice model, he's got a great little, chart here, the TAPS, which is your target allocation percentages, and if you get to that, 30,000 a month or 360, you're in his column B, and it says here owner's pay is 35% plus your profit is 10%. So if you were to add those 2 up, you get to say 45%. You're taking home 45 percent of that. So if I said, okay, we're gonna do $360,000 in a year, and we times that by 0.45, that's $162,000 that is essentially your owner's comp, we'll call it. That's good. We're liking that, right? That's pretty good. But if you get into the column C, which is revenue of 500 to a million, the owner's pay goes down to 20% and the profit goes up to 15%. Because typically, as revenue increases, the percentage that the owner takes goes down because it takes more overhead to create that revenue. That's just business. But that percentage being lower is obviously is nice, okay? It's because you got more money coming in. If I gave you a $10 million practice and you got 10% of that, like that's $1 million. That's good. Because a lot of times you can't get to $10 million unless you have considerable overhead. That's why the percentages for the owner's pay typically goes down as the revenue goes up. And what we're seeing is that just too many chiropractors are not getting to certain revenue numbers to build a team and to have a practice that grows and to be able to hire an associate, and they get frustrated with that, and they don't realize that it takes real revenue to get there. Like it takes practices making 350, 400, 500, 750, a million, to be able to get there. And a lot of times I find it's hard for a chiropractor to take home $200,000 a year in comp. You know, you might run your car through whatever you do with it, like, but count that as comp. It's hard to get $200,000 a year in income, like taking home, pre-tax, without getting revenues up to like 500,000, 525, 550, 450. It's hard because if you try to keep things so low overhead, it's hard to then generate enough revenue. And so sometimes people run into this tug of war battle where they're happy that their overhead is really low. And a lot of times it's good, especially when you're starting out. But long term, they're like really, they'll brag about the overhead being low, but that low overhead is preventing them from generating enough revenue to actually pay themselves enough. And so they're stuck. And I see a lot of clinics where they're their clinic revenue for the year is 200,000 a year for like a long period of time. And so obviously if your clinic is 200,000, you may not ever get to that 100, 125, 150. Obviously you're not going to get to 200 as far as your take home pay if you're out there. Let's take a short break for one of our great sponsors, TrackStat. It is a new type of software plugin for your EHR that combines patient communication, marketing, automation, and statistics with patient and employee tracking. Built by chiropractors for chiropractors, it shows your team what to focus on each day. See patient visit habits, missing information, unpaid bills, insurance collection visit average, and more. Great visibility of data so you can focus on filling your office with your best patients. When you can see what your staff and patients are doing or not doing and take action accordingly, your profits naturally grow. Take TrackStat for a test drive in your office with our free trial. Not a techie, no problem, we can help. To get started on your free trial, visit trackstat.org and watch the demo. That is trackstat.org. So, one of the realities is that um, sometimes it takes overhead. It takes investing in team and equipment and certain things to get that revenue up, but there's an ROI on it. So maybe for every dollar you spend, you're getting two, and that's how business works essentially. And that's why I think, 30,000 a month is so important to get to. If you keep your overhead low and you want to keep things simple and you like that and you're in certain areas, it might be $25,000. If you're in San Francisco, it probably is $35,000. But you get the idea. So I don't want you to get married to the 30K number. But there's a blog. You can go to our website, modernchiropracticmarketing.com. You can read the blog. It's under our blog section. It was from June 1st of 2023. And I'm just going to read this to you and we'll go from there. I'm not going to dissect the charts out here. I've got a chart, but I reference a lot of stuff in here from Profit First and also Greg Crabtree. So here you go. Having the luxury of speaking with and coaching many evidence informed chiropractors of all levels has provided me with some great insights into the struggles and opportunities of the patient centered chiropractor. I've realized that the 30K a month average collections is a vital goal to reach as a practice. As a patient centered chiropractor, I know you aren't trying to make this all about finances, but let me explain why this is so important and why we are having coaching calls with our members on this pretty consistently. A practice that can have adequate revenues and profits will be able to, one, provide an excellent patient experience. Two, you, the doctor, won't be stressing about finances and can fully engage with your patients. Three, you can afford to hire an A team, better equipment, you'll have better space, prevent burnout because you have a team helping you and allowing you to function in your unique ability. You'll be able to potentially offer better services. And then you can soon hire an associate to free you up even more. And you can start doing the things that really, again, like are in your unique ability and have a little bit more of a freedom of time. Right. Um, so let me continue to read. Let's do a 30,000-foot overview of the finances of this level of practice. The 30K isn't an exact number, but you get the point. It could be 28K in Nebraska and it may be 35 to 40K in San Francisco. But I have seen the 30K number be on point in most scenarios. I want to take two financial frameworks discussed on our podcast and virtual summits before: the Profit First Model by Michael Michalowicz and Simple Numbers 2.0 by Greg Crabtree. I recommend both of those. There's books that you can read on that. And then I have two podcast episodes that you can gain more clarity on there. You can look at that. And that was with Holly Tucker, who is a chiropractor that is Profit First trained. And then also I did interview Greg Crabtree. So I dive in. I'm not going to read this here part, but I dive into the Profit First target allocations that I want you to look through on this blog and go from there. But under column B, because that's what the $360,000 a year revenue, the 35% owners pay in the 30K per month scenarios will give you about 10K month in income, not counting your 10% profits. For the sake of this scenario, let's place your payroll taxes for your W-2 pay within the 35% owner's comp. You'll want to seek professional guidance on all things taxes, and I recommend that you do that. The 10% profit will be about 3,000 per month. So you got on your owner's comp 10,000, and in your 10% profit you got another 3,000. That now leaves about 17K for taxes and operating expenses. So we've subtracted 13,000 from the 30 and you're left with 17K. Let's remove the taxes, and it could be less than 15% from what McAllowitz says up here at 15%, but we'll just remove that. About $4,500. So that leaves you 12,500 for operating expenses. And again, it could be, you could have a little bit more, but just for the sake of this, now let's discuss the ideal core team. In my opinion, adding to this core team will be the next goal when you consistently hit the 30,000 a month average. You've got the ideal team here is the doctor owner, that's you, and then the rockstar front desk, and then the Swiss Army knife chiropractic rehab assistant, or just a fully involved preceptorship program. But I do think a great core team is the doctor, the front desk, and a Swiss Army knife, CA, essentially. Okay, now we're going to transition to Greg Crabtree's 2.0 concept, which they have researched heavily amongst thousands of small businesses. The main concept is that your overall labor costs, including payroll taxes, employee benefits, and 1099s that service your business, should be half of your total revenue. Divide 360K by your overall labor costs, which would be the 2.0, and that's what you want to come up with. Okay. So in the 360K practice, your overall labor costs should be about 170 to 190,000 per year, or 14 to 16K per month. If you are taking 10K of that, that leaves you 6K for more labor costs. It also leaves about $6,500 for other expenses such as rent, utilities, marketing, medical, and office supplies. 6K for the cost of a front desk and a CA could be a tight squeeze depending on your locations, but you could consider a few ways to make it happen. A well developed preceptorship program could replace the CA position. You could choose to pay yourself a 1 to 2K per month less to afford both the front desk and CA for a bit. And then that CA will allow you to make a bit more once fully onboarded. Then you could pay yourself the full 35%. You could opt for a part time CA or one that only works your patient facing hours. And maybe your accountant or profit first specialist determines you only need 10% of revenue tucked away for taxes, not 15%. That percentage could go towards your operating expenses and your CA potentially. Okay. So knowing your numbers, making accurate growth decisions, and setting realistic goals get you from being a lone wolf to having a team-based practice. It isn't easy and doesn't happen overnight, but it surely can happen. But when you get there, you have a practice with a great team, healthy profits to grow with, and a wonderful patient experience, and you can avoid burnout. This great team and healthy profits will launch you into the next phase of growth that may include hiring an associate, adding big ticket services such as Shockwave, buying or leasing a bigger office space, and much more. There are many variables to tease out for your practice, and more importantly, how to get there. We are doing that consistently with our clients. Some of the variables that you want to consider are what do you need to, like what numbers do you need to see? How many office visits in a month would equal that revenue, $30,000, right? Who do you hire first and when? What's your vision strategy to get there? Are you doing a good job of patient adherence? What's your marketing looking like? How are you developing as a leader? And do you have a remarkable patient experience? All right. And that's the end of the blog there. You can read that again. Go to our website, modernchiropracticmarketing.com to check that out. But that's going to give you a really good breakdown of why it's important. It's not just like a number because we made up a number and it's not a vanity thing. It's just we want to build a team. And you need to be able to do that so that you can do this profession for 40 years and feel good about it. Let's take a short break from today's episode to tell you about the best decision I've made in my clinic in the last 10 years, and that has been adding shockwave therapy to our clinic. The outcomes have been really impressive. Certain conditions we were struggling with in the past, we're now seeing results with the shockwave therapy for that. And second of all, the ROI has been really good. You know, when you make a big investment in something, you want to see a return, and we're seeing that return in clinical outcomes and in our investment, and that's been really nice to see. I chose Keenest Medical for 4 reasons. One is the technology is top notch. You have to have great technology. There's a lot out there that isn't quite up to snuff. The second thing is they have a really good clinical training. They have an exclusive partnership with Academy of Shockwave Excellence so that you can become clinically proficient in shockwave. You do need to get skilled at it. I think that's a big differentiator between practices that are getting great results and seeing the ROI is they have a great clinical aspect to that as well. So you want to get trained appropriately. Third is they have in-house service team for all of your technical support, which is key when you're investing in a machine like this. And then lastly, they have a very in-depth marketing and business support for you so that you can launch this into your practice effectively, that you can get that ROI on it, that you can get the clinical outcomes. And they also have really good financing options if you need that. So go to kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, mention MCM podcast and receive a free shockwave in practice book with a purchase of a unit. So that's kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, and mention MCM podcast. And ultimately, that's why, you know, we're developing an online course. This is going to be a 6-week online course all centered around this 30K a month and how you can get there. We're going to launch this on December 2nd. The first lesson will come out in the month of November. Up until November 15th, you'll have an early bird discount. After November 15th, up until December 2nd, because it will close, we're going to close it at December 2nd and then actually launch the cohort. You'll be able to sign up in November and join this cohort that's going to work towards getting to $30,000 a month. It's going to be 6 weekly lessons. It'll release for that week, and then the following Monday we'll have a group coaching call around it for asking questions, talking about particular topics, and we'll also you could pre-submit if you can't. We'll record it, get it to you if you can't make that group call, but you'll get all that there. And this is going to be actionable stuff, right? It's going to be a lesson that's going to not just be theoretical. It's going to actually lay out um, different steps within these 6 weeks, and then you're going to have homework to do. You're going to have action items to take, and you're going to get super clear on what it looks like for your clinic to get to $30,000. And, you know, you'll give yourself a reasonable time frame. You know, if you're at $25,000 and you just can't seem to get up there, then it might be pretty quick for you if you do this course. If you're at 15, maybe it's 2 years out, 3 years out. I don't know. We'll get clear on we're gonna have a really uh, clear vision strategy around this for you, but you're gonna have actionable steps. And if you actually do the work, and it's all gonna, you know how we roll here. It's gonna be ethical and elegant and first rate stuff as far as what we're expecting you to do. We're not gonna be having you go, it's like, oh, sell $4,000 care plans, it'll be easy, or 6-month care plans, it'll be easy. We're gonna do this without you having to feel salesy, and we're gonna help you develop as a leader, get super clear on the numbers it takes to get there, and start thinking about why that's important, and then show you how to lay out, okay, what is your next team member hire? How's that hire going to help you get to another revenue level and things like that? And so, if you're interested in that, you can sign up now. It's open to sign up, and that's going to be at uh, bit.ly. So bit.ly/MCM30K. It will be in the show notes. If you're in our Facebook group, like I'm going to promote this. Like I don't, I'm going to really push this hard because I think a lot of chiropractors need it and it's going to be the best money you're going to spend. And I don't speak in hyperbole, but I'm going to push this. So you'll be able to find it. I'm going to email our list. I'm gonna post it in our Facebook group, Modern Chiropractic Marketing. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it often in the month of November to sign up. But check the show notes out. Again, it's https:// bit.ly, bit.ly/MCM30K, number 30 letter K to sign up for that. And you're gonna make that commitment to really develop a practice that's got the revenues to be able to take you to the next step. Now, some of you are hopefully you didn't turn it off when you heard 30K because maybe you're at 50K a month already. If you're above the 30K already, then you could still do this. You're just going to do a different number. Like let's say you've been at $35,000 pretty consistently and you want to get to $45,000, right? Whatever the number is, the stuff you're going to learn in this course is going to help you get there. You're just going to have different numbers. Okay. But I talk to a lot of chiropractors, and again, there's nothing wrong with being under 30. And you might be at 18,000 a month and pig and shit and you're loving life. That's awesome. But I know a lot of chiropractors that want more for their practice, need more to 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 create to fulfill the vision they created. And we're going to help you do this in a 6-week course that's going to have a lot of actionable items, homework, and resources for you, but it's not going to overwhelm you. And it's not going to you're not going to, after 6 weeks, have the $30,000 a month revenue, but you're going to have a very clear plan and start taking all the action steps to get there. Okay. So go to bit.ly/MCM30K. And I'm looking forward to working with you if you sign up. I'm very confident in this. Again, if you do the work, and you might need a mindset reshift as well and just start to realize like I got to get out of my own way. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but it's not going to be a theoretical mindset motivational coaching 6 weeks. Okay. We'll touch on it a little bit, but we're going to actually give you real things to do in your practice. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time-free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth, and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things. And we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.